All right, I'm here with Paul Lowery of Press Media. Paul, welcome to the show.
All right, thanks, Sean.
Yeah. So what does Press Media do?
So Press Media, we've been around 101 years, and we're commercial printers. We specialize in a lot of direct mail.
You've been around 101 years?
A long time, yeah.
It's like usually you get like the 2 or 3 years is about average in the tech industry. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. So you guys do direct mail, and then specifically, do you have any focus, or I know that you're Infusionsoft certified. Maybe talk a bit about that.
Sure. Yeah, so we're a commercial printer. We're a custom printer, so pretty much anything that you want to do or dream up, we can do. So really, Infusionsoft, I went and got certified. We were doing some cross-media campaigns for customers prior to Infusionsoft, and we thought it'd be a good fit to put in some of our direct mail right into Infusionsoft.
So you guys have it integrated, I'm assuming, where you can take someone's Infusionsoft instance and have it spit out your guys' direct mail pieces directly from that.
Yeah, I mean, what we've done with a few in the past, we've actually put together a campaign and had those all ready, and then as it spits off those names, then we can, do a one-off if we want, or of course it's a lot cheaper if we can batch those up, and once a week or once every other week we can send out however many come through that sequence.
Right. And so for the people that are watching that aren't familiar with Infusionsoft, let's just walk through an example. Like I've got your site up right now, and if I go to your Contact Us page, as far as what's possible with Infusionsoft. So you've got a field here for address. If someone fills out this contact form with Infusionsoft, you can actually make it so like they get an email first, and then maybe if you guys don't get in touch, then what? It kicks off like a postcard 30 days later or something like that. Oh, did we lose you? Paul, you there?
We're doing a long-term nurture. They get an email every 2-3 months, but if you can mix in a couple of mail pieces in there, your response rates will go up.
Okay, so you cut out for about 10 seconds there, but just say that again as far as what happens. Like you mix in the email with the offline mail, basically, right?
Right. Your response rates will go up, and you're able to reach out to them a lot more, obviously, if you mix in the offline and the online.
Yeah. Cool. Can you talk about any, like, who do you serve, and can you maybe just share some stories of success cases where you guys have gotten a good result with direct mail?
Yeah, sure. So I always tell people the first thing you've got to do is look at your acquisition. So there's two ways we use direct mail. One is for the front end of that lead funnel, so you're doing lead gen. The second one is just in your nurture and maybe your upsell or your thank you cards. So we've had good success on the back end of a process, obviously sending out a thank you card. Several restaurants that we have, we do those birthday club mailers. So for instance, we've got a local restaurant here. Most of the restaurants, they have their birthday clubs and they send out an email, and you get those all the time. These guys, we actually have a postcard that we send out. I don't know what the percentages are, but I know their redemption rates went up quite a bit more with sending out a postcard versus an email for the people it's their birthday.
Yeah.
Just with that tangible touch. On the front end of your lead gen, what I always tell my customers, the first thing you've got to figure out with direct mail is what your lead acquisition costs are. Typically, if it's $50 or less, so for instance, if I came to you and I said, look, would you pay me $50 to get a lead? If it's $50 or less, direct mail probably isn't the best fit for you in terms of lead acquisition costs. If it's $50 or more, we work with a lot of dentists who are happy to pay $100 to $150 to get a new patient through their door.
Right.
Direct mail is a great avenue for that. So, if you're selling, if it's a real low ticketed item, direct mail really isn't good on the front end for the lead funnel.
Right. Right. And what other, so dentists, I mean, like I noticed the guy who won, or second place, I guess, at the InfusionCon, the orthodontist guy, has a pretty extensive direct mail campaign, it sounded like. Nope. You still there?
Hey, you there?
Hey, man. Sorry, I don't know what's. I
I
don't
don't know.
know.
I'm going to try moving somewhere else. Maybe our wireless is bad over there. I know they were messing with it yesterday.
Yep.
So sorry about that.
No worries. This is kind of cool. We can do the walking interview.
That's right. I could go give you a tour of press media.
Let's see it. Let's see it. Why don't you?
I don't know. We'd have to go to the other building. Maybe look at some stuff out here. Let's take a look. Might be a little bright.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be too good. We're working on a video right now that gives a tour of the shop.
All right. Well, we'll link to that when this is over. How many employees are you guys at this point?
There's about 50 employees here.
Cool. Yes, that's a good.
A decent size printer. We've got a pretty extensive equipment mix. So whether you want to do the one-off stuff with the digital all the way up to the big size offset presses.
Yep.
So the people that we do real well with, direct mail on a one-off basis is pretty expensive. And of course that's nice because you get the customization, you can use their name, that kind of stuff. But one of the other things that's really effective that we do with a lot of customers is we set up basically a schedule or a series of mailers. We manufacture them at the same time, we warehouse them here, and then as those leads come in, whether it's through Infusionsoft or just however you want them to come through, then we do different drops. So for instance, these guys that do the birthday club mailers, we'll print 100,000 cards, and then they have a list every other week that we drop, and then we go and customize those fields on that list. So they're getting the manufacturing costs of 100,000, but they're not having to pay, all of that. They're paying as they go.
Right, and it's still customized. They're still getting the custom aspects, but they don't just minimize the production. That's
right.
Awesome. So how the people that are listening that are either ICCs or already Infusionsoft users, like what can you tell them about direct mail? Like when it's appropriate. You alluded to the fact that you got to know that your cost of lead acquisition. If it's smaller than $50, then it doesn't make a lot of sense. But what else? When is direct mail a good choice for people?
On the lead gen side, or on more when they're already in a sequence, you've already captured their info?
On both, because people. I guess it kind of depends on your situation, what you're trying to improve. But yeah, let's attack both. So on the lead gen side, when is it appropriate?
So on the lead gen side, there's a technique I found that works real well. So obviously when you're trying to generate leads, you want permission-based marketing. And people know that. Okay.
Cool. Well, so you were saying on the lead gen side of it, a technique that you found that works?
Yeah, so something I found that works is if you can think of somebody that already has a lot of clients that you want. So you figure that, I know my target market is XYZ, and I know that this vendor or this friend or this sales rep or this other business that's a non-competing business, preferably that your service complements, has this list. And so what you're able to do to them is you're able to go to them and say, hey, look, we'll do this direct mail piece. We will pay for it, but we want it to come from you guys, and we want it to go to your list, obviously, is where the value is for you. For instance, I just had a nonprofit that approached me. They had a list of about 4,000. They were going to do a mailer to them with their, just kind of their news and what's going on and this kind of stuff. And so I talked to them and I said, hey, how about I get one of my dental clients? They'll pay for the mailer. They want to essentially donate the cost, what the cost would be for the mailer to you. And then, in this, we want to send out that, hey, these guys donated to this nonprofit and they're awesome. They're running a special for our customers that you can get free exam and x-rays. And so that went out from the nonprofit in the nonprofit envelope to their list, but it was promoting this dentist essentially. And that's a lot more powerful than just going and getting a cold list.
Right.
Whereas if, on the email side, I think it'd be a harder sell to go to them and say, hey, give me your email list. We want to send out an email with me in it.
Right.
But when you offer to pay a hard cost of mail, I've seen pretty good success where people are willing to give their lists or let you use their list because you're essentially buying the list.
Yeah.
You're paying for a direct mail campaign. It's been pretty effective.
And so, just to make sure I understood what you said, so you're still sending it on their behalf to their list, and then I'm assuming like you're mentioning, like including their brand in it, or
Yes.
okay,
Yeah. So you do kind of more of a soft sell, obviously, because you still want it to be permission based from the company that has the relationship. Like, here's another example. We did one. I've got a financial planner who's got a lot of clients, and they trust him and they like him. And then he's got a friend who does insurance. He does auto insurance mainly, and so they basically did a joint mailer and they shared their lists. And so you've got the auto guy that's promoting life insurance and financial planning, and then you've got the financial planner to his list who is promoting auto insurance with this guy. And so you do it in a way that it's subtle, but it's essentially you're getting permission-based marketing to somebody that already has that relationship.
Yep.
That's a lot cheaper than trying to spend the money to build the relationship.
yeah, and it's just like a warm intro too. It seems like the power when it's coming from someone that you already trust, and so you're gonna like much more likely to open it and all that. So that's a good.
Right, and I mean that's nothing new, but in terms of direct mail, I've seen pretty high success when you approach somebody and say, "Look, I'll pay for this mailing campaign." That has a tangible dollar amount versus, "Hey, I want to get to your email list." It just seems like we've had a higher percentage of people that say, "Yeah, I want to do that."
Right. And what do you think, if you had to guess as to why that's the case? Do you have a theory?
Yeah, I mean the reason why is this nonprofit, for instance, they were going to spend about $2,500 out of their budget to get their mailer out versus spending zero and having a third party partner with it. I mean, it's tangible, real dollars that they're going to have to spend anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Why not offset the cost?
Okay, so that's from the sending side. I guess my question would be like, why do you suppose that people are so much more responsive to the physical mail? I mean, do you think people are just inundated with spam emails at this point that they're more receptive when they get physical mail?
Yeah, so there's a couple reasons. There was a study that just came out from the DMA. It's kind of the authority, the direct response guys. And there's a couple of reasons. One is there's a lot less clutter. When you're talking lead gen, and I do this when I teach these classes, I ask people, and anybody that's listening, you can kind of ask this to yourself. But in terms of trying a new product for the first time with a company you've never done business with, very few people respond to an email versus a direct mail piece. And some of the reasons are, you have your African brothers that are emailing you, telling you have a dead relative and send in your info, and there's a lot more scams going on online, as well as just the channel's a lot less cluttered. How many emails do you get a day versus how many new pieces of mail? The interesting thing, though, Sean, is the response rates. The response rates in getting new business are 3 to 4 times more with direct mail than digital channels. However, the ROI typically is better on your digital channels just because they cost so much less.
Right.
So you can do real well client acquisition, but you still have to look at that ROI, and that's where it goes back to my first point of you got to look at your lead acquisition cost, because even if your response rates are really good with direct mail, it still may not ROI for you.
Well, that's where it seems like so I know I've listened to some of Jermaine Griggs' stuff where he talks about how he will start to double down and score people based on like how valuable he perceives them, like if they've made a past purchase or how frequently they've made purchases, and he'll start to send things like physical gifts and stuff. Right. It seems like the same is true with direct mail. As soon as you start to get a better idea, like this lead is maybe worth more than that, so therefore I'm going to start to hit him with some physical mail that has a little bit more cost associated with it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. One of the techniques I always tell my people is I say, okay, what's your budget? And they say, well, it's $5,000, and they say, I'm hoping to go to 10,000 people. So that would be about 50 cents a piece. That's what most people kind of think about direct mail, and they're trying to get the per piece price down, so they can send more.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to try to get people to reverse that thinking and say, okay, if you had a budget of $5,000 and you could get that list down to, say, 500 people, you'd have $10 per person to try to get a response.
Mm-hmm.
I had a company, they mailed some Omaha steaks, cost them about $50 a pop. They were trying to get chief marketing officers of Fortune 500 companies, but they got about a 45% response rate. If you can spend more per lead, and so it goes back to finding those leads that are most valuable and spending more per lead,
Mm-hmm.
and sending them something that's unique, sending them things multiple times, sending them, like you say, gifts and swag and lumpy mail and all that kind of stuff, your response rates tend to go way up.
Yeah. So it's how you triage. It's really like, how can you take that big list, not blow a bunch of money on direct mail on it, but start to triage like digitally, and then start to really like hyper target with direct mail.
Correct. Yeah. We did a mailer recently in-house with a survey where we gave away free movie tickets. We actually had a dollar bill inside of the mailer. We had it die cut so you could see the dollar bill, and then we put it in a clear envelope. So when it showed up, you're getting your mail and sorting, you can see there's $1 in there, which equates to 100% open rate. But we got about a 44% response rate on that one. And, it cost us about $20 when it was all said and done. But
yeah,
you're way better off if you can find a lead that's more valuable and spend more money per lead. And so whatever you need to do to sort out how, whether it's online or lead scoring, figuring that out, that's how you're going to get response rates. Kind of gone are the days where you're going to want to just blast out tons of direct mail.
Yeah.
I mean, it does work. My dentists do saturation mailers, which is where every single person on the route gets it.
Mm-hmm.
And get this response rate, Sean. They get about a 0.002, so a fifth to a quarter of a % of response rate on those mailers.
And that's just because the lifetime value of that customer to them is $7,000 or whatever it is.
Yeah, a couple reasons. I mean, when you do saturation, your postage is really cheap. You're
right.
15 to 18 cents. It equates to about $100 to $125 to get someone in their office is what that ROI is to. When we've targeted for the dentist and increased that response rate, it hasn't justified the increase in price. So they're spending 35 cents per mailer. We double that to 70 cents and try to target, but for that particular industry, it doesn't pay off. The extra expense doesn't equate to enough increase in response rate.
Right. Hey, I'm on your site. I'm just totally different topic, but you guys do not just print. I mean, I'm looking at specifically the flipbook page that you guys do.
Oh, right, yeah.
So tell me about, this is interesting. Like you guys have taken what looks like a print magazine and made it, feel very organic online here with this flipping style. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and that's something anybody that does magazines or anything like that, we typically do that for them, and it's a pretty cool thing to have on your site or to have in a link. We host it. Obviously, you guys can host it as well,
mm-hmm.
but we can host that. So if you want to have that as part of your sequence, or even click here to get a hard copy of this magazine, something like that's kind of interesting.
Well, that seems like that'd be an interesting promo almost, like on that topic of trying to triage up front with the digital and then only do the print to the ones that bite. You could almost send this out as the cheapo thing that everyone gets, and then the carrot is, give us your physical address and we'll send you the hard copy, and that's like a good way to start sorting people. Right,
and you're exactly right, Sean, is asking people, do you want the physical copy, do you want the online, and honing your list. So if you have say an older demographic that really wants the print, then you're going to send them the print.
Right.
But you're not just blasting it out there.
Yep. Very cool. Well, hey, talk to me about, you were at InfusionCon this year. What did you think?
I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, I liked it.
Was there any transformative takeaways or any nuggets that you took from it that, you really got value out of?
I'd say one of the biggest nuggets, and this is what we're developing here, is Infusionsoft is moving towards the done-for-you service. And I think any ICC knows that's hard when you're trying to. They know what they want, but then you have to spend all the time building it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're working on some campaigns right now out of the box that we can just sell people that have all of the creative and all the messaging and everything included, so that you could say, hey, you know what? Yep, I want to plug into that campaign or that campaign. So some of them that we're in process working right now are like recipe cards are really, really popular. So a lead nurture campaign where they get 4 recipe cards per year. The graphics are already done. We'll just plug in your logo and your contact info and maybe a call to action.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got some we're developing with humor, but basically an out-of-the-box thing you can purchase. When I talk to other people with direct mail, it's enough of a ambiguous, what do I say, how do I get going, I don't want to hassle with it, that becomes the barrier to using it in, say, a nurture campaign or some sort of a drip sequence or a follow-up after a purchase.
Right.
And so we're working on products right now where you can just say, look, I've got this much budget, I want product A, put my logo right there, and I'm done. I don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah. And then, like you said, Infusionsoft themselves are moving to that kind of canned, templated approach, which I think you're right. I think that is a big barrier for a lot of people ever getting started with it. So.
Yeah, so that was kind of my takeaway with InfusionCon, I think, for what we do.
Cool. I'm supposed to ask you a question here. I'm going to make sure I get it right, but hold on. Squirrels and ducks underneath cars in high school. Tell me about that.
That's all core horror, huh?
That is Corey.
I keep my past transgressions under lockdown.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Corey and I had some good times. That's probably an offline, non-recorded conversation there, Sean.
Okay, fair enough. I figured I'd ask. Cool. Well, I don't know. Anything else that you want to share with fellow ICCs that may want to be doing direct mail and like how you can help them out?
Sure. I mean, you probably get a little bit from the conversation that we're a custom shop. We put together custom solutions. We work with a lot of different customers across a lot of different industries. So, I really like to sit down and talk to somebody for 15, 20 minutes, see what their goals are. If I don't think it's a good fit, I'm going to tell you. I don't want to push you into a direct mail campaign that's going to bust. So just, give me a shout, and if you want to look at some stuff for some customers, just call me. We can put something together and see if it makes sense. We can help with all the creative stuff as well, the graphic design and that as well, if that's needed.
Cool. Yeah, so it sounds like you're more than just one of these commodity mailing options. You guys actually have some experience with what works and how to advise on actually how to approach the campaign.
Right. One other thing I wanted to point out too is we've got a full-blown call tracking system. So what we do on our direct mail pieces is I'll pull either a local number or an 800 number. I can point it to whatever number you'd like, and then it'll actually record. If you want to record the call, you can, and then I can kick out reports of how many phone calls you've got, and we can figure out the conversion rates. And what you'll find with direct mail, unlike email campaigns and online stuff, is I have a lot of people that come back and say the campaign didn't work or we got no response. And when we pull up these call reports, you're finding that they're calling on weekends or after hours, or your staff's not answering the phone, or when they answer, they're super rude. And that's a problem with other processes, not with the actual direct mail.
Right.
So we can add all that stuff in. So we can do your design, we can track it, put the call tracking number on there, we can set up campaigns, we can warehouse it for you and do some payments and incremental drops. Again, we're trying to design a solution that fits in to your business or into your Infusionsoft rather than just a print and mail job.
Yeah, and that's really important. So I want to actually stress this point of what he's talking about with just the metrics on everything and the insight into, like in that situation you just said, you wouldn't know that campaign, if it was the direct mail or what was wrong with it, unless you had the insight having implemented the call tracking to be able to see where it was falling down. So that should really set you guys apart. That's awesome that you do that.
Yeah, and just for anybody that's doing direct mail, regardless of who's doing it, make sure you're tracking. It's a little bit harder to track than online stuff, but you've got to track it or you're not going to know if it's working.
Cool. And do you guys actually set up like custom domains, I'm assuming, when you're doing links in paper?
Yeah, I mean, we can do some pearls if you have landing pages and you want to do a personalized URL, and have those personal landing pages. We can set those up for you.
Cool. All right. Well, hey, Paul, so thanks so much for your time. I know you're busy, and definitely appreciate you sharing a little bit about your business with us.
Yeah, well, thanks so much, Sean. Look forward to it.
Yep.
Seeing you again. We'll have to do lunch. I'll catch up on those squirrels.
Well, you guys got Google Fiber there now, so no excuse next time on the technical difficulties.
Yeah, I'm on wireless. I think that's probably the issue.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Sounds good. Thanks, Sean.
Cheers.